Fishing. We're high in the Cothi Valley, and there's not another living soul for miles. I sit on the grassy bank with my fishing rod laid out on the smooth grey stones in front of me. The river dances and crashes over the run, and its chorus fills the air. Birds sing as they begin to roost in the trees above the opposite bank. A murder of crows are screeching a hideous adieu to the daylight and drown out the songbirds. I've given up on the pursuit of catching fish. They're too canny for someone as naive with rod and reel as me. I sit and I watch, sit and listen. My senses are filled by the offerings of the valley. The river dominates and dictates everything that happens here, and the water rushes south in an endless race to the sea. The trees cling to the bank and bow forwards in homage to her strength. We are all under her control. I glance up to where my brother is sitting high above me on the raised bank, just a few yards upstream. "Hey!" I shout, but my words are lost in the cacophony of the crashing water. He's dangling a worm into a holding pool, sitting motionless, waiting and focused on the point where the line enters the water. Beneath the surface, the worm wriggles to release itself from the hook which has been carefully threaded through the length of its being, slowly drowning as it baits the prey. Unlike me, my brother knows what he's doing with a fishing rod, and he's here to catch a suin or a salmon. I'm not here to catch a fish. That doesn't mean I haven't tried, but if you're here to catch a fish, you're missing the point as far as I'm concerned. I'm here for the river, for the serenity, for the peace of mind. I haven't caught a fish on the Cothi for years, but I still come as often as I can. I love it. The smells, the sounds, the wildlife, the beauty of the valley. I roll a cigarette and lie back on the soft moss to smoke it. The sky is grey and the fat dusk is clearing her throat. I close my eyes momentarily and breathe deeply through my nose. I open them again and I stare into the silent sky. In the corner of my eye, I see a sparrowhawk swooping like a dart through the crisp evening air. I sit up. She's on the attack. The target is a kingfisher. I watch intently as the two birds use every sinew of muscle and skill in their respective quests, one for life, one for death. Up and down the run they pursue each other. The hawk is relentless and the kingfisher agile and swift, coasting inches above the water. It seems like an eternity, but after 3 or 4 circuits of the run, the kingfisher darts into the trees and is gone. The sparrowhawk rises and disappears from my view. I look up to where my brother's rod is now bent and taut. "Bring the net!" he screams. I scramble to my feet and up the bank towards him. The fish leaps from the river and then contorts itself in a lunge towards the reeds. Skillfully, my brother controls the line and guides the desperate fish back towards the centre of the river. He loosens the reel and allows it to pull away downstream before holding it taut at the head of the run. The fish is beginning to tire, and it turns, just breaking the surface of the water. A flash of silver, and then down again into the dark, forcing its way into the murky depths. As I get closer, my brother begins to reel the exhausted fish towards the bank. Its head is now above the water, and the line is tight. It makes one last desperate attempt to free itself from the hook buried deep in the soft flesh of its mouth, straining every part of it to summon up the strength for one final bid for freedom. But it's to no avail. The hook has pierced the fish's skeleton, and no amount of struggling will free it from its barbed captor. "Get the net underneath it!" my brother shouts. Even though I'm within a few feet of him, the river is still so loud that I can barely hear him. I wedge my left wader behind a large spur of rock. One slip here, and it won't just be the fish that's fighting the power of the river. I dip the net into the water and wait for him to draw the fish into the net. It's virtually lifeless now, resigned to its fate. The struggle is over, and it lies limp in the net as I raise it carefully out of the water. "Suin or salmon?" he shouts. "I don't know," I reply. "What's the difference?" He doesn't answer. I carry the fish in the net up the bank and back through the tree line into the field behind, hook and line still attached. My brother is waiting. He lies his rod and reel flat, then kneels on the grass and holds the fish steady, using a small pair of pliers to remove the hook. "The hook is deep," he says, tearing the fish's flesh as he pulls at it. "Suin it is. About 2 pound, I reckon. Nice one." I agree. "Pass me the priest from my bag," he says. I take the lead-filled club and hand it to him for the serving of the last rites. The fish twitches a few times before he brings the priest down heavy on its head. Trickles of blood seep from under its gills as it rests dead on the grass and thistles. "Ma will be chuffed with this," he says confidently. We leave the fish and pack away our kit. It's getting dark and we've got about a quarter of a mile back through the woods to the car. He forces a piece of string through the fish's bleeding gill and into its mouth before tying it to his belt. "Chuffed with that," he says. "Good result in the end." I nod. We clamber through the trees in the half-light to the car and load up. The fish is wrapped in a plastic bag and laid in the footwell of the back seat. "Pint on the way home," he suggests. "Yeah." "Plough in Vellingham, perhaps?" "Dad loved it there." "He'd have loved that fish too," I reply. He nods, and we drive away in silence. Behind us, the river crashes and rolls relentlessly through the night.